Welcome to our webinar for getting the most out of your Generac co-op. Talking today mostly about the best strategy and the best use of your funds. There's a problem that comes along with this, and something I hear a lot about from a lot of our dealers is we have too much co-op, or we're leaving money on the table at the end of the year. So we're going to get into that in just a second. I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of who I am. Just for anybody that doesn't know, I can just get my clicker to work. There we go. Okay, so I have spent 20 years of experience in internet marketing. I've worked directly with more than 75 generator dealers across the country since 2014, both Kohler and Generac, Briggs and Stratton, Cummins, all the different brands we've worked with. I've spoken at mastermind cohort events for successful electrical contractors and also dealer associations like NEGDA. There that is. And I'm also the author of Digital Marketing for Generator Dealers, right there. You can get that book for free. It's got everything that we do in our program for our dealers across the country. Everything is in that book. So you can just go to our website and request that, and we'll send that out to you. And I'm also the creator of Powering Success podcast. Currently about 13 episodes in. We're going to make a big push to get as many more as we can for the rest of the year, so we can really start getting some of these stories out. Recorded one yesterday with Tim from Conroe, Texas, and just hearing his story and hearing how long he spent in the industry and building his business to over 40 employees. Just tremendous amount of effort, and just listen to that podcast, and he takes us through the whole from the beginning to end, end going. Everything that I'm showing you is not based on theory. This is based on actual generator dealers from across the country that we work with day in and day out. 35 dealers so far across 22 states, and we're working with some dealers from more than a decade. Our mission is to help 100 generator dealers double or maybe triple their revenue every single day in and day out. We do custom web design, ad campaigns, social media, content creation, pay-per-click, email marketing, CRM implementation, automations, day in and day out for generator dealers. So we're very committed to the industry. We go to the Generac conference every single year. This is a picture of all of our clients out in Vegas. We'll be there again in January in Orlando. And we're also going to be at the Kohler conference too in February, and looking to build our relationship with NEGDA as well, the National Emergency Generator Association. You can take a look at that. Great organization, and I think every dealer should be a part of it. And we're going to work to help get that membership up too, because it's a great way to collaborate with other generator dealers from across the country. So we're working on that as well. We have a lot of generator brand knowledge for all of these different brands. So we are not affiliated with these brands directly, but we've worked with their portals. We understand their co-op. We know their requirements, and we have the ability to kind of get in there and make recommendations and suggestions based on what's available to you as a dealer. So without further ado, we're just going to roll right into the problem that we have. And the problem here is that everybody is busy handling storm-related demand. I'm sorry, hang on one second. I have to set my do not disturb, because the spam calls are horrendous. There we go. Do not disturb. Okay. Everyone busy handling storm-related demand. Hurricane season is approaching. The end of the year will arrive quickly. Many dealers still have co-op funds available, and without a plan, those funds are rushed, poorly spent, or never used. So what are we going to do with this money? And we all know we have to spend a little bit of our own money in order to use this co-op money. So we might as well make sure that we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to use it the appropriate way, so that we can drive more leads, get more business, have more conversions, and not leave any of this money on the table. Before I kind of roll into that, it's important to kind of understand the foundation of where you kind of should be before you get into making the best suggestions or the best recommendations for your own co-op. I mean, you should have things in place already. If you're going to have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a year in co-op, there are things that you should probably already have in place. But I am going to just kind of go through it quickly. So what we do on a regular basis too, and just to kind of give you an idea of the foundation that needs to be laid, is on a regular basis you need to drive leads, maximize conversion, optimize results. Okay, so when you're driving leads, organic SEO, your website needs to be in place and have great content and be the authority. Have your Google business profile in place. Make sure that you're posting there. Make sure you got some social media. That's all of your search engine optimization. That's going to really be the majority of your leads, the lion's share of the leads that are going to come in through organic SEO. So make sure you've got a good footprint there. Paid search, you want to make sure that you're running Facebook ads and Google ads. So this is the second most important aspect in driving leads. And third is your database. So you already have an existing database of customers that you can promote to, you can connect with, you can close service contracts with them, you can get referrals from them, and continuously reach out and stay top of mind. So these are the three primary ways to drive leads. Everything else is kind of just a lot of noise if you don't have these in place. Maximizing conversion, this is where we want to make sure that driving leads you're getting the most effect out of driving leads. So you're working with your website, make sure your website looks great, is easy to use, has great content, has a form that they can fill out, a phone number that they can call, a chat widget that they can interact with, maybe with an AI respondent. People are now using that a little bit more, and they actually are inviting the AI respondent because they know that there's no human on the other end. They can ask whatever question they want. They can get the information in a roundabout way. Your reputation is also going to help you with conversion. Obviously, if you've got 1,000 Google reviews, 5-star Google reviews, you're going to have a better conversion rate than those companies that have 1 or 5 or 10 or 20. And having automation in place too can help with conversion. So if you're busy, or if your team is busy, or if you're a smaller agency or a smaller dealership, a lead will come in and you'll maybe be able to get to them in 5 minutes. You'll maybe get to them in 5 hours. So having automation in place can keep that messaging going in case you are busy or stuck, or you have an estimate out and you can only follow up one time, and then you can just get busy and you just all the rest. So you want to make sure you have automation in place so that you can help close the estimates quicker, or more estimates more frequently, and convert leads into prospects more often as well. And then optimize your results, right? Look at the money that you're spending, look at the return on that investment, and look at the overall average cost per lead and what it is that you're spending and getting back. So with Facebook, your average cost per lead is between $35, $75. With Google Ads, you're looking at 150 plus per lead. Overall, with your organic SEO and everything kind of working, you should be right at around $100 a lead, as kind of a sweet spot for the money that you're spending. So that's basically, the overall of the tactics, and then the question is kind of what do you have to layer? How do you layer it in? Or you can't just, if you have no website or you have a Generac front page website, you can't then go and create ads, because the ads are going to link to that front page website, that generic, repeated duplicate content page that Google knows that's where the ad is sending. So the quality of the ad is going to go down a little bit, and you're not going to have as much success as some of those other ads out there that are going to link to better crafted pages for the ad campaigns themselves. So make sure you've got a good foundation in place, having your website, having your Google profile, get a process for your reputation, and get that in place first. This is first and foremost. If you don't have that and you've got co-op, you need to get that. Some of that you can't get with co-op, but it's important to have that in place. After that, you can layer on the paid search, the Google for search campaigns, the Facebook ads, the YouTube ads, anything like that. And then you want to get retargeting automation in place. So this is your third step of, the most important things to have in place. After that, you can get into paid directories like, Angie's or networks, things like that, and the pay per lead kind of systems. And then after that, you get into branding marketing, which is more TikTok, it's more social media, direct mail, TV, things like that. that's going to help um, overall with your brand exposure. Very hard to do a return on investment with that, but you know that it's exposing your brand more and you getting it out there. Um, and it's important to understand how you want to layer in all these tactics before you spend the co-op money. So this way you can make a more intelligent decision on what it is that you're going to spend your money on. And of course, use the co-op for your shirts and your jackets and your sweatshirts, your truck wraps. Um, I know that even with Kohler and Generac, the truck wraps need to be their branded. But if you need to burn through some co-op, that's not terrible because you can put your logo on it. Now, I do not recommend using the templated Facebook and Google ads because it's predominantly the brand, with a little mention of your name. So I don't really like that, but for your trucks, it might be okay because they're going to cover a lot more of it. So what we're really going to get into, and this is your marketing on demand landing page. We're going to talk mostly about your marketing programs and Eulerity. Um, this is a fairly new setup that we haven't dove into yet, but we know Eulerity, we know who they are, we know what they do, we know what you can utilize Eulerity for. So I'll get into that in a second. So the first thing we want to do is look at your marketing programs. Okay, so the first thing that we recommend that you have in place is the online listings and reputation. Right? Online listings and reputation. This is 100% co-op. So this is important to have because this is going to actually sync up your company's information, your address, your phone number, your hours, your website link, um, all of that with the major internet aggregators. Okay, and they kind of filter out they spread out all of your information consistently across the web. And this could actually cover maybe 40 or 50 different websites to make sure that all that information is in sync. And that's important because when Google does an overall internet search and sees you out there, all of that information is the same. It's all synced up. It's all consistent. These are better ranking signals for Google to understand that you're a legit company, you're in all these places, and you've got links going back to your website from all of those sites too. So online listings and reputation, super important. Make sure that that's in place. Now, the front page, flexible website. This is another thing that Generac offers that's 100% co-opable. We also recommend having this. This also has the ability to, and not to replace your existing site too, and it should not be your only website. So there are some ups and downs for this one. We need to have this in place so that you can send your prospects who have approved a Generac installation to go to this website, fill out the form, and then they can start the process with the warranty and get any kind of promotions. This is how Generac requires it. They require you to use this. So some of our clients actually don't send their customers to their front page website. Their office uses it to fill in all the information so the customer can get all the proper warranty and promotions. Again, we don't want it to be your front facing website, but we do need to have that in place. The front page also comes with a Google Business Profile Optimizer, where they have people on that end that can optimize your Google Business Profile. They update the pictures, they post to it regularly. This is a piece of this that they don't advertise with the front page flexible website, but it is included. And this is probably the more important piece if you don't have a team to update your Google profile. Unlike Facebook posting to your Google profile is more important to have in place for the ranking signals. So very important to have that taken care of. The last thing I want to kind of go through quickly is Eulerity because we have not seen the dashboard. We have not seen this setup, but this is an AI-driven marketing software. This is kind of a do-it-yourself setup where you can run Facebook ads and Google ads. I don't recommend this for any of the bigger guys that can afford an agency that could manage their ad campaigns with a professional directly with Google and Facebook. But for some of the smaller guys that need to kind of burn through some co-op, that don't have the wherewithal to run or the know-how to run Google ads and Facebook ads on their own, Eulerity is kind of where it's going to be at. But then again, the downside of running Eulerity through the Generac co-op is that you're going to be required to use the Generac posting content, which is again 90% Generac. So, and just to kind of touch base on that again is, the reason why we don't want to do that is because we're basically just adding to Generac's overall marketing campaigns that just kind of remind people Generac. And they're not thinking your company, they're thinking Generac. So they're going to see your ads and maybe they're not going to engage with it, but they're going to remember Generac and they're going to see another Generac ad. And then they're just going to go to Generac.com. Whether they find you there or not, that's up for whatever happens there. So that's why we don't really recommend running the Generac content ads. You're not going to get the most out of it, and it could actually maybe hurt you more than help you. So if you're going to spend any money on ads, spend your money on your own creative and your own brand. And overall, without Eulerity, these two items will exhaust $1,224 of your co-op. So that's a really small amount compared to some of the amounts that we've seen with some of our dealers. But it's important to have the stuff in place at the bare minimum, have those two items in place. And then we'll get into our non-program enrollment, which is search engine marketing. I know it might be hard to see the screen a little bit, but we'll get to that. I'll be able to share my screen in a minute. So search engine marketing, pay-per-click, geofencing, the co-op reimbursement is 50%. So provided you get the pre-approvals, I'm going to take you through that. I'm going to show you kind of what gets approved, but you'll get 50% back on your spend, which is great because a Facebook ad campaign will run will run very well at $50 a day. It costs about $3,000 a month, but at $25 a day, that's a more affordable setup, and it will burn through your strategy as well. And print advertising. So these are the two primary areas where we want to focus our co-op money, is in SEM, pay-per-click, and print advertising, which is basically just your direct mail. Okay, so and maybe a printed catalog here or there. It depends on the the rollout with the amount of co-op that you have, but primarily direct mail is kind of where we want to focus. When it comes to Facebook ads and creative, you can design something simple. You can use a photograph of an install, and you guys are probably all looking at this one. I think this one might be too close to the house, but it depends on the permits and depends on where that is. But anyway, these will approve. These will get approved from Generac. So these are simple. What you really want to make sure is that your logo is not bigger than their logo. You kind of have to be relatively the same size. And then that will get approved. And make sure that the Generac unit that you use, make sure you can't see any other brand on the graphics or anything like that. So that's going to get approved. Now, if you don't have that ability to create these kind of graphics, you can use AI to do it. Okay, AI creates some really stunning graphics sometimes. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay. We like to actually replace the AI version of the generators with actual photographs of the generators, just because AI can't translate it properly, and if it doesn't look right, we end up getting comments. So, but the AI graphics will also work. And again, let's just make sure that the logos are right around the same size, and these will go through. Now, when we're setting up Google ad campaigns, just make sure, and I know this is a little harder to see, but these are the 3 different campaigns we're running on Google. And this one says search generator installs Kohler. This one says search generator installs Generac. This one says PMAX Generac installs. It's important to make sure that your campaigns are separated by brand, because the invoice that you download at the end of the month will only identify the breakdown in cost by the campaign names. And if you also sell Kohler, they're not going to give you co-op money for a blended campaign. So make sure that you've got it broken out properly like that, because when you upload the invoice, the Kohler amount is going to be on the invoice too, but you're only going to request the co-op reimbursement for the Generac amounts. So that's just something that's important that I want to throw in there and make sure that you understand that the campaigns need to be carved out properly. Now, when we submit for pre-approval, we want to show them for specifically for Google. So for Facebook, this is going to get approved. You just have to say, give them a document that has the creative, the imagery they're going to use, and the copy that you're going to use. They may come back to you and say something like, whenever you're mentioning the brand name and generator, you have to say Generac home standby generator, all in kind of, that's almost like a one word. That's how they want it. You can't say Generac, you can't say a generator. It's got to be home standby Generac home standby generator. So that's all in the copy. You say, and you tell the pre-approval, you say, this is the copy, this is the creative. Um, Google's a little different because Google for search isn't using graphics, and Google doesn't have specified um, ad campaigns. Like you can't say this is the title, this is the description, this is the link. Google's going to use its own AI systems and its own algorithms to create the best ad based on your ad headlines and your and your ad descriptions. Ad headlines, ad descriptions. That's incorrect. Um, so and you just want to mention that on your document for Generac. Google uses a blend of AI and algorithms to assemble the ads on the fly using a mix of the headlines, descriptions, and images we provide. Um, and just to show you, after you set up the campaign in Google, Google will give you the previews of the mobile units, of the mobile ads. It will like blend a few for you, so you can kind of give Generac the idea that, hey, we're running a Generac ad. It says Generac in the description. It says Generac in the titles. Want to make sure that they see all that in the sample previews. And then when you set the pre-approval, let's see, maybe I should just share my screen on this one, so you guys can see how we run the pre-approvals. So the pre-approvals here, internet and digital marketing claim. You name the pre-approval, which is going to be Facebook 2026, and then you run the dates of activity for the whole year. So we only run the pre-approvals once a year. So we run the Facebook ad campaigns early January, once we know what the co-op is, or February, and we get the pre-approval for the entire year. This way, because we're not going to change up the graphics to the point where we're going to need new pre-approvals. Um, and it gives us the ability to just every month we can just get the reimbursement from within this pre-approval. And then we set, I have to move on to my next slide here. Then the subcategory is digital advertising pre-approval required, and then you hit yes, and then you upload the graphics and the ad copy content in like a PDF or something like that. So that's just how we set up the pre-approval for Facebook. We do the same thing with Google, and we do the same thing with print advertising, right? So this is the back of a postcard, the front of a postcard. This is another place where we recommend that you run, that you use your co-op is in printed. And I'm going to get into, in a few minutes, I'm going to get into, okay, exactly how much we're spending, how often we're going to spend it, and how do we calculate all of this. So just getting into the nitty gritty of, the execution of it first. So your neighbor just purchased a Generac home standby generator. So there's 3 different ways to run digital campaigns. You get the approval one time, direct mail claim, postcard campaign, and set the same thing, dates of activity for the whole year. So all you have to do is get your reimbursement. You're not going to change up the creative very much. You're just kind of gonna go to work. All right, and then you get your pre-approval approved, and you're probably good to go. Most of the time, we don't even wait for pre-approval. We just go, and whatever Generac comes back with, they want modifications, we'll make the modifications and put them live right away. Let's see, before we get into the strategy, I just want to make sure that we're set on the postcard. So 3 different ways to run direct mail. And I know that you've got experience with, some pretty expensive direct mail programs where you're just kind of radius bombing a certain area. But what we like to do is we like to send postcards to the neighbors of where we're doing installs. So we use Modern Postcards, the company that we use, and you create a spreadsheet and you upload every single week. These are the 4 or 5 installs that we did, and Modern Postcard will go to that document and they'll send maybe 20 or 30 or 50 postcards to each of those to the neighbors of each of those homes. They've seen your trucks in the area. They saw you doing some work. Maybe they saw you carrying out a generator. They've seen you around and now they're getting a postcard. So this is like a really great way to market to people that this might be a second or a third touch point rather than it be a first touch point that gets torn up and thrown away. So we want to have the postcards in place. The other thing you could do too, you can retarget from your website, and Modern Postcard will grab the address and send a postcard to anyone that visits your website. And again, you can also do the radius bombs. And why this is important is because you can burn through some of your co-op and you can get the most out of the direct mail campaigns. Okay, I'm going to take it back to me, and we're going to go on to the next aspect, which is basically the strategy. Okay. So here we've got an available balance of $5,380.61. I recommend online listings and reputations. Like I said, that initial $1,200 and the front page flexible website. Those two items have in place. Just looking for my slide deck, sorry. And Facebook, Google ad campaigns to run out the rest of that co-op. Now, this is an available balance from this point forward. So right now I'm talking about trying to, give you an idea of how you can burn through your co-op in the next 4 months, right? September, October, November, December. Overall, we don't want to do that. You want to have your strategy in place in January because a lot of you guys have a lot of co-op and it's very easy to leave money on the table. It's really hard to spend $60,000 in co-op in the last 4 months of the year. For example, an available balance of $68,589. This is a screenshot that I took from one of our dealers' portal. So for them, we recommend the online listings, the front page, Facebook and Google ad campaigns, and printed mailers. This is basically where we want to live for the next 4 months to make sure that we burn through as much of this as possible. And quite honestly, after doing all the numbers and based on the amount of money that you would have to spend to burn through that amount, we will only be able to spend $20,000 in the next 4 months. So there's going to be almost $50,000 left on the table for this particular company. But next year, we have it all in place to start from the beginning. We will, and if we stay consistent with the campaigns, we will be able to use up all of your co-op by the end of 2027. So now I am going to go over to my screen. This is free to use. This is a Generac co-op allocation calculator that we've developed that we use on a regular basis. Before I take you into that, I'm just going to show you the quick version of it. After we used it, we figured out that in order to burn through that $53.80, we're going to run Facebook ads for $3,000 a month for the next 4 months, which ends up with a gross spend of $12,000. Your co-op spend, I'm just trying to get my screens in order here. Your co-op spend is $53.80 with a little bit left over. So your out of pocket is going to be $66.19, around $6,000 or $7,000 in order to spend that co-op. And your remaining in December of co-op is zero. Now on the $68,000 side, we're going to run Facebook for $8,000 a month for 4 months. Now you can overspend. So we don't want to run one Facebook ad campaign at $8,000 a month for 4 months. We have to run 2 campaigns and maybe 3 campaigns. So we run one campaign for Generac installations. We run a separate campaign for Generac service and maintenance, and we run maybe a third campaign for Generac repair. And then you can kind of bump that up and down based on storms or any kind of other weather events. And we do the same thing with Google ad campaigns for search. Run it for Generac installs, Generac maintenance and service, and Generac repair. And then a postcard campaign we'll max out at $2,500 a month based on our installs, spend that much money per month to the neighbors of our installs, run that for 4 months. So, and then in addition, we're going to spend $5,000 in September on a radius bomb. in maybe a few different areas that we want to do business with. Choose some of these higher income areas or some of these closer to coastal areas in September. We say more in September than November because September we're right in the middle of this hurricane season, and maybe $3,000 in November. So your gross spend, it's a lot. You're going to spend almost $40,000. Your co-op overall will have exhausted almost $20,000. So your out of pocket is $20,000. Remaining balance 48,000. Almost $50,000 in co-op that's still on the table. But we can't, other than truck wraps and merchandise, radio and TV, which we recommend doing after this is all done. So once you have all this in place and you really need to blow through that, then get the TV, get the radio, do some local ads, ad campaigns, things like that. The branding, marketing layered in on top of that. But we can run a more modest campaign for 12 months as the year goes on if we can get it started in January and not started in September. So let me just show you the tool that we built. Like I said, this is a free tool, and I just want to, now you probably, if you've already clicked on that link or scan that QR code, you'll see it. So here's the tool that we built. And so what you need to do, and this is just for your own use. We're not tracking any of the usage here. We are tracking page hits, but that's about it. We're not getting your information or anything like that. We don't request it. So you could set your planning year for 2027, and you could set your total co-op funds if you're getting maybe $25,000 in co-op funds, 50,000, and your target remaining at the end of the year. Sometimes you want to save money at the end of the year. You can put that in, or co-op if you want to do like a last minute postcard push or anything like that. But we technically just want to zero out at the end of the year and set your default co-op rate. So this is also going to help if you want to change this. So if you're doing Kohler, run Kohler co-op, Kohler is going to be closer to 80%, 80% coverage on the pay-per-click ad campaigns. Now here's the difference between Kohler and Generac. With Generac, you can create your own content, your own creative, run your own campaigns. With Kohler, you cannot. Kohler doesn't let you go outside of Ansira that's going to run your campaigns for you. Kohler is going to make sure that you use their content, their imagery, everything. But they're going to cover a little bit more. I mean, if you have no other way of utilizing that co-op, you can give that a try, but make sure that you've got it dedicated to the landing page has to be a Kohler specific landing page, and make sure that you're tracking conversions from that landing page. Use a trackable phone number, use a tracking form so that you can monitor the kind of leads that you're getting from that co-op, because even 20% of that overall spend is too much if it's not working or if you're sending those leads somewhere else. So this is where you can set that rate. If you're looking at Kohler, you can set that at 0.8 for 80%. You can set it at 0.2 for, this is for video, sorry. That would just be 0.8 for 80%. But with Generac, we can do our own campaigns. And what you want to do is you can play with these numbers as you go. So how much do you want to spend a month for Google ads? How much do you want to spend a month for Facebook ads? Now, start month, end month, this is so that you can come back mid-year, or if you're looking at the next 4 months, you set that to 9. So we're going to start in September. Same thing with Google, set it to 9, so you can start in September. Right now, I want to look at 25 grand for the year of 2027. So this is from January to December. So we have Google ads, Facebook ads, postcards to your neighbors. We could be at $1,000 a month from January to December, and do a few radius bombs if you're going to do it in the busiest seasons. Do a radius bomb in maybe March. That's not really a busy season, but that can kind of get things going. Maybe spend 3 grand. Do a radius bomb in July or maybe even August. It's kind of ahead of the hurricane season, and then do another one in November after people have experienced some outages, and get their attention that way. And then there's video commercial module. So Generac also works with Digital Airstrike. I'm sure you've seen them in the conference. they'll charge you 10 grand for the initial shoot, and then that's roughly about 4 grand a month to run the TV ad spots, which is 50% co-opable with Generac. We're not going to work that in over 25,000. So this gives you the monthly breakdown. So at that rate, you're going to deplete that $25,000 in funds by July. So what you could do is you can go back and you can adjust these numbers, maybe get rid of the March radius bomb altogether, maybe reduce your postcards to maybe 500 a month, so that you can deplete a little bit later in the year, looking like August. These are all good numbers. Maybe get Facebook down to 2,500 a month, see where we're at. We're still depleting in August. You get the idea. So what you want to do is just kind of keep massaging the numbers a little bit so that you have an even spread out, right? A consistent spread on your marketing. You don't want to deplete your funds in August and then cut all of your ad spend. And now the ranking signals are dying. Your Facebook ad campaigns aren't feeding anymore. Your leads kind of stop coming in. So it's important to try to keep this as consistent as possible. You could even get your Google ads down to 2,000 a month and Facebook ads to 2,000 a month and deplete closer to October. So not a bad plan. And then if you just want to generate the client report, you can save it as a PDF. And this gives you everything you need so that you can hand this to your marketing director. You can hand this to the person that runs your ads. You can say, this is how I want to do it. And then you don't have to worry about this way. You come back to your co-op money in November, October, and you got none left. And that's really what we want overall. So the next thing that's how to run this roadmap, and manage your co-op. And I do want to just kind of recap and make sure that overall you just want to have a strategy in place for all of your money, for all of your spend, for your entire digital marketing strategy, right? So the recap quickly, don't wait until September to do this. A lot of companies do that. They got too much co-op, they can't spend through it, and it gets very expensive, right? You can overspend. Make sure Facebook Ad Max per campaign, you're at about $100 a day. Your Google Ad Max is $250 a day. Your postcard max is $5,000 a month. Don't overdo it. Don't overkill it. We want consistency, and this is really what works best for everybody. So going into the new year, make sure you got a good plan in place. Use the calculator, and set your goals. Have a strategy. Allocate that budget. We have another tool that I can take you through real quick on that. I'm going to show you this as well. And I do believe that I have a QR code on that too, so you can download that. But here's I'm sharing the whole screen. Just want to share this screen. Here we go. Okay. So with our planning worksheet, very simple. Our annual revenue target is 1.5 million for the year. Our monthly revenue target, that automatically calculates. We need $125,000 in revenue to make that 1.5 million. So average installation value, about 15,000, might be a little higher for some of you guys. So you need 8 installs to cover that monthly revenue target. And if your average conversion rate, now this is a high rate, but if your average rate is 33%, you need to have 25 leads come in on a given month in order to close your 8 installs. And an average cost per lead, $110. This is our sweet spot over all spending, all marketing, all aspects. We're looking at $110 per lead, and the budget required to hit that target is about $27.78 per month. Now, when you get into budget allocations, you can decide how much you want to actually spend on marketing, right? So 1.5 million for your projected revenue. Your marketing budget's at 10%. So for that entire year, and that's aggressive. Okay, 10%, $150,000 for the year for marketing. So it's an aggressive number, but this is what it's going to take. You have to spend money to make that kind of money, and it's relative to the amount of money that you want to make. You have to spend in order to, see that lead return. But if you're watching it constantly and you're constantly after it, then you can make adjustments in your allocations and your budget, everything. So 6% is a rule of thumb for a typical marketing budget. 10 to 12 is an aggressive. 3% is conservative. You're not really doing much. You won't see much growth. So from that, your average monthly budget is going to be about $12,500. Okay. So you want to allocate online marketing at 80%, offline at 15%, referral business at 5%. This is just kind of, working that system and having a system in place, software, whatever that is. Offline marketing would be, the local baseball teams or doing some catalogs, maybe doing some direct mail, that kind of thing. But you want to look at 120,000 for the year in online marketing. And then we break that down further. So we look at our online marketing and we break that down here into SEO, PPC, and display or retargeting, which is the cheapest. But for SEO, want to make sure that you've got some money being spent because that's a foundation. And from what we're seeing across the country is that the majority of leads coming in for generator installs coming through the website or the Google Business Profile. And the only way to get that kind of traction is to build your website, work your website, add content on a monthly basis, make sure that those ranking signals are out there, technician check-ins on the job at the space, feeding Google this constant information that you guys are working, doing a great job, getting your Google reviews, great reputation, all that stuff in place. We're budgeting probably around $3,000 a month. The rest will go into PPC, Facebook ads, Google ads. And here we're at our 120 for the online marketing allocation, 78,000, half of which can go to the co-op. So great tool here to use. If you click on if you scan the QR code and go to this document, you can go up to, file, make a copy. You're not going to be able to edit this one, but you can make a copy, have your own version of this. There is a cost per lead calculator with some averages here. There's a marketing calculator for generators in case you want to do any kind of monthly ongoing content creation. We even have one here for electrical. And we've got some special offers that we've ran in the past for generators, special offers for electrical. It's just kind of in here, some extra stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna get back to my Zoom. All right. Okay, so that's a lot to go through. So we want to make sure we have our goals in place. Where are you at with your goals for this year? Did you hit your targets? Make sure that you've got some KPIs in place. Make sure that you're running those ads consistently. We will have another webinar at the end of this month to try to get that fourth quarter in place ahead of the new year. So we're gonna hit October strong with getting everything in place ahead of, just repeating myself, ahead of January. And then in January, we can hit it strong. We'll have leads coming in through SEO and organic. If you get started right away in November, in October rather, have 3 months to build all that out. And then January, kind of hit it hard and try to get as much business as we can going into some of the busier months towards the second half of the year. It does take a little bit of ramp up. So want to make sure that you're doing everything consistently and you're building on it as you go. That's the QR code for the lead generation, the planning worksheet where you can punch in the numbers and work on your budget. I'll also send an email with a couple of these links so you don't have to worry about it either. And as usual, we'll do a free online marketing review. If you scan that code or fill out the form on our website, we will take a look at your market. We'll do some competitive research. We'll have a nice Zoom meeting. We'll show you the opportunity that we see from the software that we use to track everything. And then we'll kind of take you through our program, show you what we do for our dealers day in and day out, and across the country. And hopefully we find ourselves a good fit and we can work together. But if not, good luck with everything here. I hope this was a valuable session. I hope that this works for you in terms of spending your Generac co-op. I know we didn't really get into Kohler or Briggs, but they have co-op as well, with a lot of the same, concept. So that's it. I'll stick around for a couple minutes. If you have any questions or if you just want to give me some feedback, that'd be great. You probably get a link with the recording later on today or tomorrow, in case you want to check it out again, along with links to these other goodies that I got here. So very, very helpful stuff. And thanks for coming.